Hello, hey, welcome to another episode of Coaching for Coaches. I'm your host, Miles Statham Grant, founder of Master Coach. In this episode, we are joined by the amazing Naomi Clark Duggan. Naomi, great to have you with us.
Hi, Miles. You okay?
Great to have you. Really, really good, really good. So, for the benefit of those that are watching live or on the recording, if you are already a coach and you don't yet have a coach, then shame on you. I'm kidding. This is a really good opportunity. It's a really good opportunity for you to get some free coaching, because from my experience, if you treat this like a coaching session, you could get some insights perhaps for yourself. At the same time, watch so that you can see how and observe how we coach in our Master Coach world. So 2 reasons to benefit you if you're a coach. Third is, if you're thinking about being a coach, shameless plug, check us out, go to the website, which is at the bottom of the link, and to find out more about our foundation trainings. So, Naomi, let me ask a question that I may have asked you perhaps before. It is the 15th of February 2024. If it were possible for us to fast forward in time to the 15th of February 2025, and we're having a conversation by coincidence or design, and I ask you how things are going, you say things are great. I say, what's your secret? You say, well, we had this call about a year ago and there was some stuff that we spoke about that was really, really useful and impactful. If that were true, that this conversation today were that useful and impactful and extraordinary, that it had a significant impact on your next 12 months, I guess what would have been like the headline thing that we would have had to spoke about for that to be true for you 12 months into the future?
I think for me, it would be definitely how to gain, well, there's 2 things, because I do get clients, so that's not, but I would like more clients. So I suppose it would be how to increase my, to increase more clients, but that comes in terms with how to market myself better.
So when it comes to marketing, tell me what's working and then maybe what's not working.
Okay, so what is working for me is definitely DMing, that direct messaging that you tell us to do. And what I do particularly, I go onto LinkedIn and I do use the premium package, because then it gives you access to everybody. So I think that's really important to do. You don't have a limited access. In addition to that, then I literally just connect with as many people as possible. And then I send them that direct message to them that we do in terms, the scripting that we do, but I do it on the voice note. But what is nice, people have actually, even people when they've declined me, have actually said, wow, gosh, I've never had somebody do that using the voice note before. And it's a really, really personal touch. And, sometimes it might take longer, because I could just have something written out and send it to them. But I think it's a nice touch because you're able to put their name into it as well. So that's definitely, it does work. It's just a numbers game, and you have to be consistent. That's something I know. And I think it works out in every 1 in 10 people that I DM are more likely to get them onto the movie trailer. So I've looked at my figures as well in relation to that. So I think it's really important to know your stats. The other thing that's worked for me, I recently did my first workshop, my first free workshop, which was about moving out your comfort zone and looking at the wheel of life, etc. So I did that. That was really successful. I did that through Eventbrite, and I used like free tickets. I had 100 participants, 58 registered. And what was really nice, Miles, I think for me, was these were people that I didn't know. I think there was 8 people I knew on there, but the others I'd had no idea. So obviously, my, credibility, and I'm getting around. So that was good. And then from there, 3 people then signed up to what I've done, where I do the movie trailer, but I also offer a goal action plan session. So it's almost like it's a bit of both, and I sell that one. And then from there, so 3 people out of 25 came onto that. Following that, I had one other person out of the 3 who did the smaller session with me. sign up to my larger session. So it worked. So from that, I've now decided I'm going to do that on a monthly basis.
Nice. So this is for everybody else's benefit that's watching, but specifically for you as well here, Naomi. First thing I want to say is bravo. So bravo for the activity, but especially bravo for tracking the data. Because now we have a completely different conversation than I might have had with somebody else who didn't track the data, where we spend the whole time talking about the importance of knowing your numbers and tracking the data. It's like, if you want to get results in the gym, there's an argument that people say calorie counting doesn't work. But the fact is, numerical data is there for a reason.
Yeah.
It gives you an indicator. It gives a pilot an indicator whether they're on course to land in New York or not. It gives a business an idea of profit and cash flow, whether they're on track to hit the profit they want to hit or go under in the next 3 months, right? You know, a woman who wants to get into the wedding dress, data is there for a reason. And a lot of people are scared of the data, and ultimately the reason they are now is because they know if they don't hit the data, they're going to intrinsically tie their whole self-worth into those numbers. It's not about that. It's about being able to disassociate from the emotion of it and go, am I on track or off track?
Yeah,
it's not about getting emotionally in a tears about it, but most people don't like tracking the data because they know if I don't do the work, my get out is, well, I didn't track it, so it doesn't matter. The problem with that is they're just never going to get anywhere. So you are making progress, and a large part of that is because you're tracking data. And now we can talk about how we can just, first and foremost, before we come up with any new fandangled marketing stuff, it's like, okay, what are we going to do to maximize the things that are already working?
Well, what I have found, and this week, because I'm off work, off my full-time job, is I've really thought about even drilling down that data a little bit more. So the people that I've got from LinkedIn, originally I was going for like CEOs and stuff like that. Anyway, the three big clients that I got from LinkedIn who went straight onto Movie Trailer and took the money and was able then to sign up to the larger program because they had the money, with business people. Now, I never thought in the world that I would be becoming a business coach, but that's exactly what, you talk about before, not just niching and just going out there. Well, actually now I've got business people. So what I've noticed is if I go onto LinkedIn, what I do is when I send the message about the free movie trailer one, I now target business people for that. So I literally go for them because I know that they can afford me. And then what I do is I found that because of my other job as well, I'm quite, I'm credible. People see me as somebody who knows my other job. So I've targeted social workers, family support workers, etc., to come onto my workshop and then take them from there, because they probably, what I've noticed is when I've done the movie trailer with them, they don't always have the larger scale money straight away. So that's why I'm trying to look at it a little bit different and get them onto that. It's a lower ticket sale than, if you want to call it that way, and then move them on differently. So I've even thought about how am I going to target people for different reasons. And then I have my other one, which is my £25 health and fitness, which is different as well. Again, I've got another target audience, what I do for that. So I've really tried to funnel them into different packages.
Nice. Brilliant. Love that. Really, really good. So tell me, what's your outcome? Like, what's your target? What are your targets for this year? Talk me through that.
My target for this year is, so I have recently done my vision plan, and I always do my vision plan I look at 12 months, but I break that down into quarters as well. And then I think about my steps. Well, if I've got 3 months here, what do I need to do to get to over the next 12 weeks? So for me, it's really important that I break everything down and I've got my goals and I know where I am. So like my end target, because we're coming into the new financial year then after March. So from April to next April, what I am hoping to do, because I know that I I did from last April, and I'll be honest, I was not, I'd say 50% consistent, and I think I have to be really honest with myself. But when I put my head onto it, I did like 15,000 in sales. So I know that this year, if I stick to my plan, my goal is 50,000 for sales, and I've got a very strategic plan how to get there.
Very good. So because there's so much certainty and congruency in your answer then, I guess my next logical question then is, let's talk about blind spot. So if you fast forwarded 12 months and you hadn't hit the numbers that you want to hit, and you had a crystal ball, you've heard me talk about this concept before, showed you what you didn't do that you should have done, or what you did do that you shouldn't have done, what would be in your crystal ball?
What I shouldn't have done? Well, the biggest thing would have been the consistency. Okay. And it would have been me. The only person that's not going to get there is going to be me, Miles. And the reason why I say that is because I suppose for me, my other job sometimes can be a barrier. And what I mean by that, not the job itself, just the fact that it takes me away from my coaching sometimes. So I have to be extremely disciplined with myself. And, you know, the acronym SMART, and really diarize things in order to get there, because I know that I can do this, and you can. But like we said before, you've got to go hard sometimes. And if you want to get what you need to get, and you have to put the work in.
Great, love it. So if consistency would be the blind spot, where is there an area right now where you are super consistent?
In my coaching, I think definitely.
Not necessarily in your coaching, just in your life. Where are you really consistent in your life?
At the moment, because I do my wheel of life all the time. So what I am good at is, what I'm really consistent in is definitely journaling and going over that wheel of life. And why I say that is because for me, what I tend to do, I try and you've probably seen, those things called the legend planners. I have one of them. So for me, I'm really consistent in that every week I set my goals and I regularly review them. So every other day, I actually score myself. So health and fitness might say, for example, but I'm a 6 today because I ate really healthily, but I didn't do my workout. And I know I want to get to an 8 tomorrow because I want to be consistent at an 8. And I know what an 8 looks like. So that, for me, doing that means that I'm accountable to myself. Sure. So I have to be consistent there. So my areas at the moment, definitely where I'm consistent, are definitely in my spirituality and my relationship with God. Now that, and as you know, I've spoken about it, that's the centre for everything for me. If I haven't got that, I haven't got anything. My relationships in terms of with my husband, with my daughter, they are extremely important as well. And that, yeah, without them on that, work's good, and it's there. It's not where I want to be in 5 years because I do want to go into my coaching, but at the moment, it's good, and it just needs to stop at the status quo at the moment and be there in order so I can align myself with my coaching. So there's lots of areas that are really good and consistent, and even my health and fitness are good at the moment. Cool. Money's good, things like that. I've just got to elevate, if I'm honest, my coaching business.
Okay. Side note, where do you go to church?
Where do I go to church? In Dudley.
Okay, cool. Just curious. I go to Solihull. So when you talk about consistency, there's loads of areas where you are consistent. What's one of those areas that you're really consistent that at one point you weren't consistent? Just pick one.
I think right. So I am consistent, but like anything in life, and because I don't want anybody to just think that, oh my God, she's got it all the time, because I haven't. And I think that's the reality. So there's times when things do fluctuate. I mean, at the moment, health and fitness is really good, but there's time when my exercising haven't been. And I remember when I spoke to you, my health wasn't good for a couple of years, in fact, because of the menopause. So that really took a dip, and it was because of my joints and my back. So that took a big decline for me. And I think in the last 3 to 4 months, I can't believe that I'm feeling like an 8, whereas before I would have put myself as a 2. And that was massive. And not having that in my life then started to impact on my emotional health too. So I think we know that if things are not aligned, it has an impact in other areas, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you'd say that the health one was the area that there was a point where you weren't consistent and now you are, yeah?
Yeah.
So what would you say, other than the things that are outside of your control, like some of the things like elements of menopause, elements of the back problem were out of your control, the things that were within your control, Naomi, what would you say, what did you do that made you consistent in that area that were within your control? Like what if somebody were listening and they're not consistent in health and fitness and they're listening in looking for you to tell them kind of the recipe so that they can model it, what would you say is like the recipe? What's been your recipe to become consistent?
Right, to stay consistent. Now I have a thing where I say, well, planning and consistency equals success, and that's in every area of your life. And I think, you know, I'm a planner, as you probably can see already. I plan everything, but it's because if you want to have an outcome, you have to have a plan, don't you? How you're going to get there. But at each period and each step, you still have to regularly review those goals as to, well, am I achieving them? Why am I not doing well? And I always ask myself, well, what's working well, but what isn't working well? So that whole review and that whole evaluation of everything is what keeps you on track, if that makes sense. And it's the tracking and it's the monitoring that gives you the consistency. But the biggest thing, Miles, is the whys. Why are you doing this? And that's the emotion of it. Like, why do you know, lots of people come to me and say to me, you know, no, help me lose weight and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I can help you lose weight. You know, I can get you down from a 12 to an 8, no problem. But the question is why? And it's that internal why, because it's not just because people want to get into the dress. There is more to this, and it's really understanding those whys, and that's what's going to give you that motivation to continue.
Love that. So with that said, let's talk about, so I call it kind of consistency modeling. So it's like using what already works for you in another area and mapping it across. So you said that the things that made you successful in that area, I got 3 things, forgive me if it's wrong: planning, reviewing the progress, and the whys.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your coaching practice, if you talk about planning, what would you rate your planning on a scale of 0 to 10? 10 being you're nailing it and 0 being it's not good at all.
For my planning for coaching, I'd say between a 7 to 8 at the moment.
Okay. Reviewing progress, checking that you're on the right path, where would you rate that 0 to 10?
Again, I'd say a 7 to 8.
Okay, good. And then the whys, where would you rate that 0 to 10?
Right, well, the whys. The whys is definitely an 8 to 9, because as time gets nearer, for me, I'm 46 in May. And 50 for me is like a milestone where I know where I want to be in terms of my coaching business. And each time I keep thinking, gosh, it's now February and we're already second month of the year and time's running out. So the whys are getting even bigger, and I know that I've got to put that push in. And the reason why I say that, I don't want to get into a desperate state of mind either, Miles. And I think that's really important, right, when I talk about planning, because sometimes if you don't plan, you won't get there. But you know, when you think, oh my gosh, 6 months and a year's gone, you then become a little bit desperate if you've got a time scale. So in order for me not to appear desperate, particularly when you're getting new clients, you can tell on that call when you're making that DM and you're thinking, is this a desperate person, or is this somebody who loves what they're doing? Right. As opposed to, yeah. And I think that's why I've got to be, that's where the consistency in the planning comes in for me, and why I'm doing that. If that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. So they're really what I would perceive to be higher end scores in terms of your coaching practice. So the word that's kind of screaming out to me is the word patience.
Yeah.
So I think about a person when I used to sell fitness for a living, they would be, I'm just making up a person, but this was a regular thing that I would experience. They'd be 2 or 3 months into their fitness journey, and I'd go and see them on the gym floor, and I'd say, "How you doing?" And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm doing all right." And I'd be like, "What's wrong?" And they're like, "Oh, well, I don't have the body that I want yet." I was like, "Well, you've only been here 2 months, and your goal was, you know, it's a pretty big weight loss goal. How much weight have you lost?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I've lost 2 stone." And I'm like, "That's bloody brilliant. How about you just need a bit of patience because you're in lag time?" It's like, just because the plane sets off from London to New York, like if you're on the plane, you know how long it's going to take because they told you before you got on the plane. I think a lot of coaches, they don't know how long it's going to take. So patience and lag time is something that is a unknown commodity.
Yeah.
If someone actually handed them an envelope and said, "For your coaching practice to get to where you want, it's going to take 4 years, 6 months." I think for a lot of people, it would give them clarity. It might make them adjust and go, "How can I get there faster?" But I do think that the fact is you're getting great results, and there probably needs to be a little bit of patience.
I agree.
Which to an entrepreneur is not always the thing we want to hear. But the fact is that because you are doing all the right things, I think a little, not too much, to keep you on your toes, but I think a little sprinkle of patience and a reminder of lag time, I think might be an appropriate thing for you to focus on. How does that sound?
No, I totally agree with that because I was reading your book the other day, and there was
available on Amazon, 99p, all proceeds to Medical Relief International. Shameless plug. Carry on.
Guys, make sure you get it. No, but honestly, it is a good book, and obviously, having been part of Academy, etc., a lot of the messages were, you know, it's different when you see them in words as well, because obviously we're part of Academy and we're doing it, aren't we? But reading it the other day really made me think. And what was that word patience came out for me, that you've just said it, because actually starting a coaching business, it does take time. And I remember when I started and I thought, right, I'm going to be on the roadmap, I'm going to get 100 grand in a year and all of this, right? Not realizing how hard it is. And what I mean by that is, for me, it's not the coaching that's the hard part. It's the fact that I'm the business, so I haven't got a marketing team, I haven't got an admin team, all the background stuff, right? You've got to do, and how difficult, because it's a business. Sure. And that's it at the start, you know, when you haven't got all that money to have to give to everybody, and you're having to, you know, put into everyone's emails and think about different ways and learning and everything else, because you know you're coming out of, aren't you? If you think about it, you're coming out of your comfort zone straight into the learning, into the growth zone, right? And it's just difficult. And these are the bits that you didn't really foresee, if that makes sense. And you do need patience. And I think the other thing is that you need to regularly just review. When I talk about review, not just about your week, but actually think to yourself, well, where was I 6 months ago? And give yourself that pat on the back. You know, because when I think about my journey, and particularly like I've looked at the last year and I'm like, well, actually I did good. I did good now. Okay, I want to step it up. But I would be quite happy, if I'm really honest, Miles, if I've made 30 grand. I've said 50 just so I could like push myself that little bit more. But, you know, I would be happy. And I think sometimes you have to have gratitude and think you're doing good.
Very good, Naomi. Very good. On that beautiful self-reflection, I'm going to take you off the coaching hot seat. We could carry on all day, but I feel that that's a really good time to pause and reflect and just say well done and just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you.
Stay there, Naomi. We'll end that. Great to have you with us, Naomi.